Hi ladies, hi, nice to be back with you. Hope you're all well and having a good week. We've got the Olympics on in every room in the house at the moment, so hope you're all enjoying them as well. To be honest, I only sort of watch the gymnastics and the diving and the swimming, that type of thing. Not really into anything else, but they're on anyway and, you know, enjoying it. So this week, I just wanted to have a quick moan first of all, because you know, we all know how challenging menopause can be, don't we? I mean, some days it can just be awful. And I don't know why, but for some reason this week I've had a really bad week. Moods have been up and down, not sleeping properly, feeling really sort of irritable about things. Had a couple of spots come up on my face as well. And my hair's driving me crazy. I don't even know whether I'm going to have it cut or not. I keep thinking I'm going to have it cut short, and I end up sort of tying it up most of the time because I get so hot and so sort of sweaty that I just tie it up just for convenience. So I don't know, I might just have it all cut off and see. I'd love to have it short, but I don't know whether I'll be able to. I don't even know whether it'd suit me, actually, to be honest. I don't know whether it'd suit my face shape, but I think I'll make that decision when I'm in a better frame of mind, because I've had like I say, a really awful week. And I was thinking, like, some of the moods that we sort of go through, they're very, very similar, aren't they, to when I'm going through puberty, if you can remember that far back. But all of those sort of like mood swings and sort of snapping at everybody and very similar sort of symptoms. And it's sort of like back then, our body was like turning our hormones on. But now, right at the other end of the scale, our body's turning the hormones off. So it's sort of inevitable that the symptoms are going to be the same, I suppose. But the main difference being is we were prepared for puberty, weren't we? You know, when we were at school, we were sort of had lessons on it, or your mother may have spoken to you about it. And we knew, we were sort of expecting it. We knew what was going to happen. I mean, God forbid if we didn't and we had a period and we stood up and we had no idea what was going on, it would have been horrendous. But we don't get that for menopause, do we? We don't get any education. We sort of hit the ground running. We enter it and we sort of maybe think about it, will be a couple of years and it'll all be over. And yeah, how wrong were we? But I think somewhere along the way there should be sort of something in the later stages of education. I don't know, where they sort of just plant that seed in our head to say, look ladies, 35, your hormones are going to be sort of going up and down, you're going to be sort of losing estrogen, you're going to be sort of feeling a bit funny by 40, 45, you're going to be sort of perimenopause symptoms, and then by 50 you've probably reached menopause, and from there on in you're postmenopause. And just to have that little bit of knowledge to carry forward with us in life, you know, I think we would be more aware. Because most of us, to be honest, we don't know. We sort of think, like I said, a couple of years it'll all be over, and it certainly isn't the case. And I don't know about you, but my mother and my grandmother never really, well, they never spoke about menopause. They never sort of discussed it or spoke to me about it. And if I think back, I can sort of vaguely remember my mum having maybe, you know, hot flushes or being a bit snappy one particular day, or standing at the kitchen sink with the tap on with the legs crossed. Sorry mum if you're watching. But those little things that you remember, but you don't think to ask what it is or how she's feeling. But at the same time, I think, you know, that they never discussed with us, you know, what they were going through. And I guess it's probably because that generation, you know, my mum and my grandmother, it's probably the similar generation for you. You know, they're still sort of like reeling from the war, weren't they? They were sort of they were on rations. To talk about yourself and to sort of indulge in your own sort of self-pity, I suppose that's how it was viewed. You just sort of got on with it and put up with it, and it doesn't matter type thing. And to actually talk about it was not known. And I don't even think it's too much different today, to be honest. I mean, today we live in a world which is so different to that, where, you know, people talk about everything, they're very open, people have therapists for various different things, which is great, but it still seems to be that menopause is slightly not spoken about. So what I would say to you is, like, you know, if you've got a daughter, or even a son, to be perfectly honest, and they're sort of late 20s, early 30s, do them a favour and give them a heads up about menopause. You know, just say to them, pass on your knowledge and your menopause wisdom. So, I mean, you don't have to sort of go in depth and tell them how awful it is, because no two menopauses are alike, and their menopause probably won't be like yours anyway. But just sort of make them aware so they can then investigate it themselves and make them sort of Google it, buy books, read magazines, do whatever they want, so that, you know, they're more aware of what's going to be going on in their life, and the more they know, the better prepared that they will be for it. And likewise, if you have sons, you know, I mean, tell them that their wives might be going to go a bit batty, and, you know, just to sort of be tolerant and to sort of help them through it, you know, because I think the more that we can do to educate the next generation coming up. I mean, my daughters, I've got 2 daughters, 24 and 25, and just by default of what I do, they know all about menopause. But I do think it's important if you can pass your knowledge on to them. I mean, it is becoming more, we do have more articles in magazines, it is in newspapers more, websites for it, and TV programs. And we had the ITV company contact us the other day, actually. They're doing a TV program on menopause later on in the year, and they wanted some different advice and different things, information on it. So it is sort of gradually creeping in, but I think it's down to us, specifically us and our generation, because we are the ones now that are living with menopause at this age, and we are able to talk about it. We can talk about it more openly, and it's up to us, I think, to change the way on it. You know, we can sort of tell our daughters and our sons about it more. So I would say, do your children a huge favour, give them a heads up and pass on your knowledge and your wisdom of what you know so far. So that's that. And now what I'm going to talk about with you today is essential oils, because using essential oils for menopause is one of the nicer ways, I think, to deal with menopause symptoms. And there are lots of oils out there, all sorts of different ones, but there are a few which are better than others at dealing with your symptoms. So we're going to go through them, and I'll tell you a little bit about them, and then you can sort of take it whichever way you want. You can choose a few, try a few out, see if they help you. But essential oils are basically, they are made from plants. The oil is extracted from different parts of the plant. It could be the roots, it could be the leaves, it could be the petals, the flower, and the oil is extracted, and they're 100% natural. Now, what I will say is, be careful you don't get confused with fragrance oils. This has caught me out a couple of times, especially if the writing on them is quite small, and I don't have my glasses on and you can't see. It's a bit of a marketing sort of gimmicky thing where they'll sort of put fragrance oils in very tiny letters. Now, fragrance oils are not natural, they are chemically made, and they are of an inferior quality. I think they're okay to use probably if you've got some potpourri you want to freshen up, or an incense burner or something like that. But to actually use for therapeutic values, they're really not worth the time. They could cause a reaction on the skin, and they certainly won't offer any benefits at all. So I would steer clear of fragrance oils and go with the 100% therapeutic grade essential oils. And the best way to absorb essential oils is either through inhalation through the nose, or topical application when you pop them on the skin and they're absorbed through the skin. So when you inhale them through the nose, there's lots of tiny little nerves inside your nose that send signals to various parts of the brain, and they send messages to actually go to work where we need them to work, depending on what oil you're using for what symptom. And then if it's applied topically, the molecules in essential oils are very, very tiny, so they have the ability to penetrate into the bloodstream, and then they get sent off to specific organs and systems in the body, again, that we're trying to address. And the best place to put them is either on pulse points, which are on your wrists, on your temples, and on the back of your neck, or the soles of your feet. That's where the blood vessels are closest to the skin surface, so they will work a lot quicker and a lot faster. So when you're using them, if you pop them on those areas, you'll get a much more efficient result, basically. So let's have a look what we've got. I've got a few here in my little collection. Now, you can either put them, when you're using them, you can either put them on a tissue or a napkin and sort of inhale them that way, or you can put a couple of little drops directly onto your wrist or onto your temples. If you want to use more, over your skin, then you need to dilute them slightly with a carrier oil such as coconut oil or wheat germ oil or grapeseed oil, those types of oils which are quite light, easily absorbed into the skin, because you can't put too much on, it'll be too concentrated and it could have an adverse effect, especially if you've got sensitive skin. But if you're just using 1 or 2 drops, then you should be okay, unless you've got ultra sensitive skin, of course. So the first one is clary sage. Now I've just got a whole collection of these little oils here, that various different ones that you can use for various different things. So that's the typical sort of size of an essential oil bottle, and they come with like a little measured amount. I'm sure you're familiar with it. That they come, so when you pour them out, can you see it's got like that type of stopper in it, and it's measured, so you normally use 1 drop or 2 drops, whatever you're doing. But clary sage is good for hot flushes, insomnia, sleep problems, disturbed sleep, that type of thing. You can either put it on your tissue, like we said, and sort of inhale it, or put a couple of drops on the back of your neck, on the soles of your feet is another good way for it to get into the bloodstream, or put it on a little cotton wool ball and you can sort of inhale it that way. Peppermint oil, so that was clary sage. Peppermint oil, I think we know peppermint oil, it's very refreshing, it's very sort of clears the head, so it's great for headaches, very uplifting if you've got fatigue. Again, can help with hot flushes. Put it in the same places, put it on the soles of your feet. Remember somebody told me once years ago that if you put just a couple of drops on the soles of your feet at night before you go to bed, that can help get into your system, along with other things that you do to help menopause symptoms. But with peppermint oil, you can also make a spray. Put it in a little, I'll give you a recipe for it in a minute actually, but you just put it in a spray thing and then carry it in your handbag and just freshen up, and it's quite a nice way to stay cool. And if you're driving a lot actually as well, a good idea is to use just like these cotton wool balls here. Just put a couple of drops of whatever oil you're using on there and pop them in the car, and then when you're driving, sort of the aroma will sort of disperse into the air, so you should get the benefits of that as well. So that's just quite a nice way to use them. Lavender oil, we're all familiar with lavender oil, aren't we? It's got so many uses, but it can help balance hormones. It's very calming, very relaxing. It's used in lots of beauty treatments. Spas obviously use it an awful lot. Sleep sprays, pillow mist, I've spoken about it lots of times on here. And again, good to inhale. It's good to massage onto the skin if you want to use it as a body oil, and room sprays as well. Geranium oil is another very popular oil actually. It's also known as the ladies oil, and you will find this in, again, lots of treatments at spas or in body lotions, body creams, all those types of things. It helps to manage many of menopause symptoms because it has a balancing effect, so it will calm an awful lot of the symptoms, and also for premenstrual tension as well as menopausal symptoms. So if you're still having periods and you get that awful horrible sort of feeling that you do just before your period starts, then geranium oil could help with that, as well as having an effect on your menopause symptoms as well. And it's also quite nice to add to bath water, geranium oil. So if you're having a bath, just put a few drops into the bath water to help balance you and to increase your sort of sense of well-being, improve your moods and irritability and things like that. Basil is a great estrogen booster, so you can use that to help improve your moods, to help improve again lots of menopause symptoms, because if you can balance your estrogen, then you're going to have lots of benefits from that. Again, you can put it on your neck, the soles of your feet, same places that we've excuse me, that we've said about. Chamomile oil. Now, we're all familiar with chamomile oil, aren't we? I mean, that's especially tea. I mean, we know to drink chamomile tea, for example, before bed, to keep us calm and to settle us down for the night. But the oil works in a very similar way, so it does help. It's very soothing, very calming, very relaxing. Helps with aches and pains and headaches, and that sort of fuzzy sort of feeling, not particularly a headache, but you know, sometimes you get sort of like a sort of pressury, fuzzy feeling in your head. It can help with that as well. Cypress oil is good for bloating. If you're prone to like fluid retention, which a lot of us are, I know that, it's quite good for that. So you could use cypress oil again in the bath maybe, or you could use it, inhale it again and put it on your pulse points. And it's quite good for if you're feeling a bit irritable. So I think I might try some of that tonight, the way that I'm feeling today. Sandalwood oil and frankincense. These I quite like these types of oils because I'm more of a sort of a warm sort of. I'm naturally drawn to that type of fragrance anyway, rather than the sort of floral, sweet sort of fragrances. That sandalwood and frankincense is quite good for fatigue, for low energy, so that can really give you a boost and pick you up. So try that. Oils like rose, mandarin, jasmine, neroli, they're all great for mood swings and again for sort of lifting your energy and making you feel a little bit more vibrant. So all of these oils you can actually just have a collection of them, because if you don't like the smell of one, so if you don't like basil for example, then you can use clary sage, or you need to sort of build up a little collection and have a play around with them and see which ones you sort of prefer more than others. And then you've got the citrus oils like grapefruit, lemon and lime. They are great for headaches and again just for sort of putting a bit of a spring in your step and making you feel a bit uplifted. So they're always nice and refreshing to have and help clear headaches as well. But however you use these oils, whether you sort of inhale them, whether you put them directly on your pulse points, or whether you can add them, if you've got like a moisturising cream that's got no fragrance in, for example, you can just add a couple of drops of oil to that, mix it in to make it like a nice bespoke fragranced oil just for you, or body cream. The Phytomone oils are obviously, they use an awful lot of essential oils for a very integrative experience. They use all plant oils for their hormones, so you can actually nourish the skin and feed the skin. But the essential oils have been specifically chosen so you get that real integrative experience to help with menopause symptoms. So so do look at those. That's the Phytomone beauty oils. Think about adding them to the bath. I know I said about the, what was it, the chamomile oil, or one of the oils I just mentioned, that if you want to run a bath, then I would put about 6 to 8 drops into a full bath of water. That should be enough. You don't need any more, because it can be quite overpowering, because like I say, they are very strong. So for example, if you wanted to have a sort of a relaxing sort of balancing bath before bed, then you could add a couple of drops of clary sage, so a couple of drops of geranium oil and a couple of drops of cypress oil. Add those to a bath and it can help calm you, balance you and help reduce night sweat. So great to have just before you go to bed. So that's one thing you can do. Now the other thing I just want to quickly tell you about is essential oil patches. Now I started doing this a couple of years ago now, but we've all heard of HRT patches. We know that the hormones are impregnated into the patch. We stick the patch on us and the hormones are absorbed directly into the bloodstream, bypassing the digestive system, so they go straight into the bloodstream. Now with essential oils you can actually do something quite similar. So you can actually get the oils that you want to use, and what you're going to use is a plaster like this, just an ordinary plaster. You can get the clear ones or the coloured ones, whatever, and what you're going to do is you're going to mix some oils and then you're just going to drop them. I'm just going to undo this to show you. Now I anticipated that this was going to be difficult to do while I'm talking to you, because obviously nobody's filming me. So what I've done is I've just made up a little bit already so I can show you. But what you can use a plaster or a cotton wool ball again, which you can just stick directly on you. Plasters are obviously a bit better because they're flat and they can stick directly to the skin. And you use a carrier oil like flaxseed oil, like grapeseed oil, or one of those light oils, and then you use the essential oils of your choice. Now for this particular one that I'm going to show you, it's for a hormone balancing oil. and you're going to use 10 drops of evening primrose oil. Now, I'll just put that plaster down, I don't know why I'm holding it up there. Now, the easiest way that I've found is to get some essential evening primrose oil capsules. These are Boots Own capsules, just like this, and then you just pierce the end. I'm just going to put my glasses on. So what you do is, I've got a little egg cup here, because if you use an egg cup to put it in, so you just literally pierce the end like that, and then you just put about 10 drops. I don't know whether you can see it dripping out there. I think there's about 20 drops in one capsule, roughly. So you just do about 10, put it in there, and then you add the essential oils of your choice. So we've got geranium oil and clary sage, and you just put 2 drops of each. So it's 10 drops of the carrier oil and 2 drops. So can you actually see it coming out? 1, 2, that's it. Don't know whether you saw that or not. And then you mix it all together, and then you are going to put it on to that little bit there of your plaster. Now, like I say, you can actually do this if you make it up yourself. You can put the drop, you can refresh it during the day, because what I do is I'll put this on in the morning, then at midday I will get another plaster and do it. So what I'm going to do now is just put it on the plaster. This is really difficult, I'm not very good at this. And then can you see, I don't know if you can see there, so it's on there. And now you're actually going to stick this because this one is to help balance hormones. I'm going to actually stick this over where the ovaries are. Now, obviously I'm not going to show you that, but basically what you do is you sort of just slightly above your pubic bone, and to each side, you'll stick this plaster each side. Okay, so now those oils, those essential oils, are going to penetrate directly into the bloodstream, and because you've used specific oils to help balance hormones, they are going to be beneficial to help and control that for you. And like I say, you can do that, refresh it, make up a little thing, because I do find it's easier to put it in a little thing like this. So mix it all up in your little egg cup or something, put it in here, then you've got a little bit to last you there for a few days. But there are so many other things that you can use this for as well. These essential oil patches, I'm just tidying up my mess here. Got my notes. You can actually use them, make them for colds, if you've got a cold or your immune system is lowered. You can, during menopause, our immune system is lowered anyway. We tend to find that. You might find that you get colds more often, or you get cold sores, or we did a post the other day, someone's getting shingles more often than not. So our immune system is affected during menopause. So for that, you could use 1 drop of eucalyptus, 1 drop of tea tree oil, and a drop of thyme oil, and dilute this with a carrier oil such as flaxseed. So 10 drops of flaxseed, and you put that on your chest. So you put it on your plaster, and then you put the plaster on the chest, and you just leave it there. If you've got digestive problems, you need to use a drop of ginger oil, chamomile oil, diluted again with something like flaxseed oil, and you put that on your tummy, put it on your stomach. For memory and concentration, which I think I will need permanently stuck to me, use 1 drop of rosemary oil, 1 drop of peppermint oil, 1 drop of lemon oil, and then dilute it again with 10 drops of flaxseed oil. And you can stick this on the base of your, just below your hairline, and the base of your neck. And also rosemary, this is fresh rosemary here. Now, if you've got this in the garden, or if you have a plant in the kitchen, rosemary is supposed to be good for memory anyway. So, you know, just have a whiff of it occasionally when you go by, or just buy a plant and keep it in the kitchen and rub your fingers along it and sort of smell it, because it's supposed to help increase memory. If you're feeling stressed, another good one for us, use a drop of lavender, a drop of rose oil, a drop of patchouli oil, and again dilute with flaxseed oil, and put that on the chest as well. And you can make one for headaches with peppermint oil and flaxseed oil, put that on the base of the neck. So there's lots of things that you can do, but this really is quite good for putting on for hormone balancing. Just put it in the right place, and if you want to cool hot flushes, you can put them on the wrist as well, or on the soles of your feet. And apart from using them around the home, around on the body, you can use these oils around the home as well, and you can have an indirect effect from them. Just very quickly, like if you want to freshen up the shoe rack or the shoe cupboard, use lemongrass oil. If you want to deodorize shoes or trainers, use parsley oil or pine oil. If you're lucky enough to have a wood fire, not for this time of year obviously, but perhaps in the winter time if you burn logs, add a few drops of things like cypress oil or cedarwood oil or pine or sandalwood. Add a few drops to the logs about an hour or so before you burn them. It gives a lovely aroma to the room, and then when you actually do burn them, the aroma is released as well, so you get quite a good hit of fragrance. Vacuum cleaners, again, use one of these little balls, put your favourite oil on, pop it into the cylinder or into the dust bag, and that will keep the vacuum fresh, but also when you're vacuuming as well, it makes the room nice and fresh as well. Scented candles, we all use scented candles, quite a good choice. They're normally already infused with the aroma, aren't they? But if you want it a little bit stronger, put some essential oil onto the wick before you burn it, so it sort of absorbs into the wick, and that gives a more intense sort of aroma as well. Scented liners, use tissue paper, use your fragrant favourite oil, and put the tissue paper in between towels, bed linen, pillowcases, to just give it a nice smell. You can also use it in your drawers, your underwear drawer or your t-shirt drawers or whatever. Room sprays, very easy to make a room spray. I was saying before about the peppermint spray, if you wanted to make that. Very simple recipe is 50 ml of distilled water, 50 ml of rubbing alcohol like ethanol, or you can use vodka if you can bear to part with it, and 20 drops of your favourite essential oil, and that's all you need. And that's a very pleasant way to freshen up the room, or if you're making a room spray or a pillow spray or a sleep spray. No harmful chemicals in it, very natural, very easy to make. So you might like to try yours like rosewood or bergamot is great for living areas. For bathrooms, you can try things like cedarwood and pine, and for the bedroom, sort of the warmer sort of fragrances like mandarin and sandalwood. And if you think of rose and lavender when you want to create a nice sort of calming atmosphere, and you can try citrus fruits like the lemon, grapefruit, with maybe a dash of black pepper oil just to give it that uplifting sort of zesty feel. For relaxing, that go for sort of earthy blends like sandalwood and vetiver. And then if you want sort of a motivational type fragrance, they go for things like rosemary and peppermint. So there really are lots of oils. If it's something that you're interested in, just explore it a little bit more. This is just an overview of some of the top oils that can help with your menopausal problems, but they can be used for so many things to have a direct impact or an indirect impact, and they just make a lovely fragrance. And you can sort of maybe have your own little arsenal of oils. Ask for some for Christmas, get a collection going, get a book, learn more about it. And once you know what you're doing, you can go on to make all sorts of lovely things for yourself and for gifts. You can use body mist, room sprays, bath salts, linen sprays, all sorts of things. What I would say to you though is, when I very first started doing it, when I was blending certain oils for different products in the Phytomone collection, I was always forgetting what I was doing. So get your egg cup and get a notebook, because there's nothing worse. You'll put your carrier oil in, and then you're adding the drops of whatever, 2 drops of this, 1 drop of that, and you get the blend just right. And then if you don't write it down, you will forget. Trust me, you forget what you've done, and trying to recreate it is quite difficult. So always write down what you're doing, how many drops you've added, whether you like it or whether you don't, so you've got a reference point there. And then when you've got it just right and you've sort of made it exactly how you want it, you've got a record of what you've done, so you can keep recreating that fragrance. But it is great as a hobby, and it's great to get into. It is one of the nicer things to do. So have a look at that, and I hope you enjoyed it. But that's about it for this week. I've gone through like I say, those top oils, so which are most beneficial. The patches, I think you should definitely give a try, because they can help. And I hope you enjoy using them. So that's it for this week. Not as long as last week, so hopefully I haven't gone on too long for you. The newsletter is out. I think if you've already signed up for the newsletter, you will automatically get it into your email. If you haven't signed up, I did put a post up for you to sign up, but I'll put the link in again below after I finish doing the video, and you can sign up for that. And I will love you and leave you with that. I'll see you next week. I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing next week. I think it might be adrenal glands, adrenal fatigue. Maybe I might do that, because they are quite often overlooked, and they can have quite a big impact on our menopausal symptoms. So possibly be talking about that. But with that, I will go. I hope you have a great week. Thank you so much for being with me, and I'll see you all again next time. Thanks very much. Bye bye for now.